NBC News just sent Richard Engel to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem to report on the movement to build the Third Temple. And they got the most important fact completely backwards. Twice. They said,
the Western Wall, the holiest site for Jews.
And that's just not true. I live in Israel. I go up and pray on the Har HaBayit, on the Temple Mount myself, and I'm going to show you the one false premise that the report is quietly based on. And then I'm going to show you how NBC's own script proves my point for me. The one mistake that skews the whole report, the loaded words that they use to tilt it, and then using NBC's own numbers, the story that they didn't mean to tell you, but they did. So let's get into it. All right, so here it is.
The Dome of the Rock stands over the rock.
So far, so good. But see if you can spot the point where they tell you the truth, and then they walk you right past it.
3,000 years ago, the same rock is believed to have been at the center of the first Jewish temple, built during the reign of King Solomon the Wise. It was destroyed by the Babylonians in 587 BC and rebuilt by Jews after their return from exile decades later, only to be destroyed again by the Roman Empire, which crushed a Jewish revolt in 70 AD. The Jewish Western, or Wailing Wall, is the best preserved piece of the Second Temple complex still remaining, and it is the holiest place in Judaism.
Do you see how they told you the truth and then they immediately tried to talk you out of it? They said that the first and second temples stood up on the mountain, on the rock. But then in the very next sentence, they told you that the holiest place in Judaism is the Western Wall. Think about it. The surviving piece of an outer retaining wall cannot be holier than the site of the temple itself. That's the truth. The holiest site in Judaism is on the Temple Mount, the Holy of Holies. That's the center. That is the place that we face during prayer every day, no matter where we are in the world. The Western Wall, the Kotel, is just part of a retaining wall that was built by Herod to hold up the platform where the temple actually stood. It's a place where people pray not because it's the holiest site, but because it's close to the Temple Mount. And that one mistake carries the whole report. Because if the Western Wall is the Jewish holy site, then the mountain up there is really just a Muslim site. And that makes the Jews who are going up there look like they're trespassing. But once you realize that the site of the temple is our holiest site, it flips the script. It's not Jews intruding on a Muslim holy site. It's Jews seeking to pray and to rebuild on our holiest site, the one place on earth that they're trying to keep us away from. The same footage, opposite meaning. The whole tilted report rides on that one inverted fact. And once you see the bias, you start hearing it in the word choices. Watch this.
For Muslims, this isn't tourism. It's a provocation and a religious takeover.
That's the Al-Aqsa right over there.
The Israeli government used to worry about upsetting centuries of a religious status quo and potentially sparking a global religious war. Violence has flared here before, when Israeli politicians and settlers have stormed the Al-Aqsa compound.
Stormed, provocation, religious takeover. Across the report, Jews who go up there are extremists, settlers, dangerous, crazy, playing with fire. I'm one of the people they're talking about. I go up to the Temple Mount, of course, after immersing in a mikveh for ritual purity. I bow down and I pray. Tens of thousands of Jews do every year. When religious Jews prostrate themselves on the ground before their Creator, NBC's word for it is storming. And when the response is violence, it gets framed as understandable. Peaceful prayer is a provocation, while the violence against it is sensitivity. Once you hear the bias, it's in almost every line. There's one small thing that really says a lot. To represent the people who pray and want to build there, NBC interviewed mostly Christian tourists. And they may be very nice people, but they're tourists. There was a group of observant Jews that prayed right in front of them. Why didn't they interview those people? And their neutral expert is from Ir Amim. This is a group which openly opposes the movement that they're being asked to explain. NBC just says that they document conflict in Jerusalem. Not a dramatic lie, just another thumb on one side of the scale, word by word. Let me show you a couple other things that they just flat got wrong, and then we're going to get to the really good part. Here's number one, the prayer ban.
And a group of religious Jews who, despite the strict prohibition against prayer, prostrate on the ground, protected by Israeli police.
Unbelievable, because in the years that I was here in the battle, if anyone dared to prostrate, we would be immediately arrested. But here now, the policemen allow them to prostrate over here.
Listen to that contradiction. First you have that there's a strict prohibition against prayer. And then in the next breath, on their own film, you have Jews bowing down while the police are protecting them. So which is it? Well, open prayer has been allowed for several years now. A few years ago, bowing down would get you arrested on the spot, but today it's allowed. You see, praying really isn't a crime, and even Netanyahu now admits that he allows it. So I would say that praying on the Temple Mount is definitely now tolerated, but it's not completely free. I mean, there's still restrictions everywhere you look, on the hours you're allowed to go, the group size, what you can take with you, police discretion, and so on. But things have definitely changed, and NBC is still reporting the old story of the outdated status quo. All right, next up, World War III.
In the past, they told us if Jews would pray here, it's going to bring a third world war. It's not. Here we are.
Changes are happening quickly.
NBC raises the fear that this is going to spark a global religious war. Then they put Rabbi Yehuda Glick on camera. He's answering, they said it would start a world war, but it didn't. And here we are. NBC films the rebuttal, but the reporter still signs off by calling the place
An explosive mix.
All right, and I'm sure you've heard this kind of fear-mongering before. If Jews control the Temple Mount, the Muslims are going to start a war and wipe us all out. Or maybe you've heard this one. There's giants in the land and there were like grasshoppers in their eyes. None of these are valid reasons to turn back. And now here's the part that I actually loved. And I don't think NBC realized what they were handing us here.
Yeah, look, when I started 40 years ago, we had only maybe 100 Jews who were sent annually. Today we had 70,000.
70,000 per year.
Jews, millions of tourists, and the numbers have grown, and the numbers are growing, and more. And what's interesting is, when we were so few, it was full of violence. The more we see, more and more people coming, peace and quiet.
All right, so it used to be that only like 100 Jews went up to the Temple Mount every year. Just 100. Now it's over 70,000. When there were just a handful of people, there was violence. As there's more people coming, it gets quieter, it gets safer. More prayer equals less conflict. It's the opposite of what people think. Here's another change.
10 years ago, I would tell you, this is a joke. They do what they do. Everyone understands that they're dangerous, that they're crazy. No one serious. No one in the Israeli government is going to let them do it. Today, we are in a completely different situation. Today, they are in the government, in the heart of the government.
That's NBC's hostile witness from Ir Amim. He's here to warn you. 10 years ago, it was a joke. Today, it's in the heart of the government. So if you strip off the scary adjectives here, this isn't really a warning. It's a progress report. Here's what NBC actually gave us. They set out to show you a dangerous fringe provocation. But read past the loaded words, and their own report tells us about a movement that went from 100 people to 70,000, from arrest on sight to protected prayer, from a joke to the very heart of the government. That momentum is the story they didn't mean to tell you. So that's the report. One backwards fact holding up the whole bias. And underneath it all, almost by accident, is the real and hopeful story of what's happening today on the Temple Mount. I'm going to keep going up. I'm going to keep praying. and I'm going to keep showing you what it's really like from the inside. So subscribe if you want to stay notified, because things are changing. If you want to stay updated, this is the place. Oh, and one more thing. Did you used to think that the Western Wall was really Judaism's holiest site? I mean, a lot of people do because of reports just like this one. So let me know down in the comments.
It is very sensitive and very dangerous. You know, you are playing with fire when you want to change, the situation inside and realities.